I didn't knock because I never got the chance. I had my hand halfway up, fingers curled, rehearsing a polite smile that already felt outdated, that when the laughter cut through the door, it wasn't loud. That was the worst part. It was casual, comfortable, the sound people make when they believe they're safe from consequence. She actually came. My brother said, incredulous, amused. That's desperate. Someone snorted. A glass clinked. No career, no love, he continued, like he was reading a weather report. She's basically a walking failure. My mother sighed, not sharply, not angrily. Tired. Final. I told you years ago, she just doesn't have anything. There was a pause, the kind where no one disagrees, because disagreement would require effort. I stood there long enough for my body to register the words before my mind tried to explain them away. My chest didn't tighten dramatically. My vision didn't blur. What I felt was smaller and more precise, like the click of a lock sliding into place. This wasn't new information, it was confirmation. For years, I'd told myself I misunderstood them, that they were blunt, not cruel, that love looked different in our family, quieter, sharper, conditional. I'd shown up anyway. Holidays, birthdays, funerals. I'd sat at tables where my absence was discussed as a flaw and my presence as an inconvenience. I had thought this time might be different because I had stopped asking for anything. Apparently, that only made it worse. I lowered my hand. There's a particular moment when you realize confrontation would be a performance, not a solution. I could have knocked. I could have walked in and watched them scramble, apologize, reframe. I knew the script. I'd played it before. Tears would appear, voices would soften, and later I'd be accused of being too sensitive, too dramatic, too much work. Instead, I smiled. Not because I felt generous, but because something in me had gone quiet. I stepped back from the door. Then another step. The hallway smelled faintly of food and familiarity. I didn't take my coat off the hook. I didn't leave a note. I didn't need them to know I had heard. Outside, the evening air felt colder than I expected. I stood on the sidewalk longer than necessary, listening to traffic, letting the ordinary sounds anchor me. I wasn't shaking. That surprised me. I felt clear. As I walked to my car, memories surfaced in no particular order: my mother correcting me mid-sentence at dinners, my brother joking about my phase. Whenever I mentioned work, the way silence followed my accomplishments, but enthusiasm bloomed around my failures. None of it dramatic enough to point to. All of it consistent. I sat in the driver's seat and rested my forehead against the steering wheel. Not to cry. To breathe. I didn't call a friend. I didn't need comfort. I made one call. The woman on the other end answered professionally, using her title. We'd spoken before, months ago, briefly. Back then, I'd hesitated. Family complications, I'd said. Emotional considerations. She'd listened without comment. This time, I didn't explain. I'm ready to proceed, I said. There was a pause, just long enough to register the shift. Understood, she replied. We'll initiate the review. That was it. No threats. No raised voices. No drama. I drove home feeling oddly light, as if I'd set something down that I'd been carrying out of habit. The review didn't happen immediately. Authority never arrives with urgency, it arrives with paperwork. Weeks passed. I went to work. I slept better than I had in years. When my mother called, I let it ring. When my brother texted something sarcastic, I didn't respond. Silence, I learned, isn't passive. It's selective. Then one afternoon, I received an email confirming what I already knew would come. Dates, names, formal language. The kind that doesn't care about intentions, only records. I wasn't present when it reached them. That was important to me. I heard about it later, indirectly, through a relative who spoke carefully, like someone navigating broken glass. Words like unexpected, serious, misunderstanding floated around. Apparently, my brother was angry. My mother was stunned. Questions were asked that had no satisfying answers. No one mentioned my name at first. When it finally came, it wasn't an apology. It was confusion. A message asking why I hadn't said anything. As if cruelty only counts once it's formally acknowledged. I read it once. Then I closed my phone. Authority had done what it does best, not punish, but interrupt. The dynamic shifted because someone else was now in the room, someone who didn't care about family hierarchy or long-standing narratives. Someone who spoke in consequences. There was no celebration. No rush of vindication. What I felt was steadier than that. Loss, mostly. I lost the illusion that they might someday see me clearly. I lost the familiar ache of hoping they would change. In its place was something quieter self, respect that didn't need witnesses. Sometimes I still think about that doorway, about how close I was to knocking, how easily I could have walked into another version of the same night, the same cycle. I didn't win anything. I chose something. I chose to leave before being diminished. I chose to let authority speak where emotion had been ignored. I chose to stop auditioning for a role that was never going to be offered. The house is still there. So are they. But the door I walked away from that night doesn't exist for me anymore. And that, finally, feels like enough.